Do you use TikTok to learn how to improve your sprint speed? There's definitely some good and some bad of TikTok in terms of how to improve your speed, the information out there, the exercises they give. But today I'm going to break down a bunch of TikTok videos to see what's good and maybe what's bad and what you can take away to improve your sprint speed and explosiveness. What's good, everybody? My name is Just Jamari. I've been a strength and conditioning coach. I help athletes improve their speed and athleticism. Okay, yes, I am on a laptop, but let's get straight into it. Things I do in every workout. Easy plyometrics. So what he means by easy is just low intensity for extensive periods of time. That's really important. You know, usually you can do stationary stuff. Think of jump rope every single day. Then you eventually want to move up to stuff where it's like skipping and karaoke, where you're actually using momentum by moving forward and backwards. It's really good. You can do that pretty much every single day. Easy plyometrics are not bad. Sprint drills. Personally, I don't do sprint drills every single day or in every single workout, but it's not a bad thing. It's also another like low intensity thing that kind of can help, but it doesn't help everybody. Just kind of like a feel good exercise, I feel like. Resistance sprints is key. I wouldn't say every single workout, but if you have a celebration day and you're trying to improve horizontal power, you legitimately cannot skip out on resistance sprints. It is a legitimate key in terms of athleticism. So great post by Troy Gallant. Let's get another one real quick. How do you become an explosive athlete? Made simple. Move heavy things fast. So improve max strength. Very, very important. And also, you're also improving rate of force development and power because of the intent of moving something fast. Moving light things fast, this is another way to improve rate of force development / power, and it's going to have a little bit more transfer to your sprint speed and your explosiveness because it's lighter, so the contraction velocities, so the speed of how much force you're producing is actually, congruent to your sprinting. Explosive bodyweight exercises, yes, so max effort sprints, max effort jumps, broad jumps, triple jumps, everything. That's all extremely key for improving. Overspeed exercises. I don't do a lot of overspeed, but assisted jumps are pretty good. I wouldn't do any assisted sprints. It's pretty dangerous unless you're running like 10.8 or under and you have really good mechanics, but not too bad. And then for like 40, you'd be like 4.5 and under, I guess. But even some guys can run 4.5 and don't know how to sprint. 4 plyo drills to improve speed. Alternate bounds are key, great for max velocity. Single leg bounds are actually good for horizontal power and max velocity. Momentum pogos, I do these in the Speed Academy at least 2 times a week. It's really, really good for developing the lower limb complex that's transferring over to your sprint speed. And then split stance jumps, they're okay. They're good for like loading the patella tendon, getting some more loading to the knee, which can help with acceleration, but I wouldn't really use them necessarily all the time. Not too bad. All right, new person, want to get faster. All these athletes try this speed workout, okay? So 30-second holds. This is an overcoming isometric. I use this in the Speed Academy a lot. It's not bad. It's not bad. You want to push through the glute and the Achilles as strong as possible. The switches are okay. I would rather you just do them on the track than like a wall. Ankle dribbling. Oh, calf dribbling. Okay. Yeah, knee dribbling. Yeah, Les Spellman does a lot of stuff like this. I personally don't do a lot of it, and I'm not gonna lie, this workout alone is not gonna make you faster. It's just a lot of low intensity plyometrics in a sense, right? And improve form a little bit, but you can't really improve form until you start going at max speed. So if you want to do this as like a warm up, that wouldn't be a bad warm up, but it's not a full workout. This workout probably took the average person 5 minutes. It's not a workout, so no hate though. It's not that bad. Okay, how to increase your speed? I see this guy all the time. Rolling starts. If they're max intensity, these are good. Rolling starts, some people call it falling starts. Like in the Speed Academy, I call them falling starts. He's explaining it. Let's skip forward a little bit. I don't need you to break it down. Okay, acceleration starts. So yeah, you could do 2-point, 3-point. All you're trying to do is go for 10 to 20 yards, which is we're going to get peak horizontal power and just try to get as fast as possible. You mainly want to do this with resistance, but you can also do it with body weight and just time yourself. I do this in the Speed Academy 2 times per week. That's good. That's good. Drill to improve speed. We're seeing a lot of Troy Gallant, my bad. So triple switch, I use the triple switch a lot. I like the triple switch. It's really good for improving thigh angular velocity, which is something a lot of really fast people have when they don't have good form. So you ever see someone who doesn't have good sprint form, but they just move out the ass, like they just don't follow basic biomechanics? It's probably because they have good thigh angular velocity. You can look it up. Okay, want to get faster, 5.1 to 4.43. You made a very similar transformation to me. Quarter squats, yes. You want to do even better, you do single leg quarter squats. You have to take off less loads. You maybe only be able to do a plate in a 25 or 2 plates. You do a quarter squat position, but single leg will have way more transfer. And it will take off, like, because you're not loading 5 plates onto the bar, there's not so much load on the back. So it becomes like a back exercise when you start going above probably 30% of your 1 rep max of a deep squat. you're probably just using your back the whole time. So a single leg squat will make sure you're actually using your legs and develop that power at the joint angle specific motion that you jump for, or sprint and jump from, I'm sorry. Max effort vertical jumps, we love those. Weighted box jumps, I would just do weighted jumps, right? Like those aren't bad. The box jump, he's landing in a quarter squat, so as long as if you're gonna jump on a box, make sure you're landing straight leg or quarter squat and you'll be pretty good. But those really high boxes, me personally, like they're good for max intent, but I would just pass. And then when they're weighted, 10 to 20% of your body weight, really good. Isometric lunge, really good. I would even go for longer distance. Like I know he's just kind of just throwing out general recommendations, but you can go for 30 to 45 seconds. I mean, I have my guys do extreme lunges in the Speed Academy. We're doing like 2 to 3 minutes and building up until you can do that, right? Hip thrust right here. I like hip thrusts. They're okay. I instead of hip thrusts, I do barbell split squats, but they train like the same motions. Like barbell split squat will give you like more length on the glute, and the hip thrust is more about concentric force. So definitely different qualities, but overall, as long as you're doing some resisted sprints and like broad jumps, you're gonna work the glutes enough. Athletes, don't focus on lifting heavy weights. Instead, focus on lifting light weights fast. This is how you increase speed, and this is how you increase explosive power. You need this to move optimally. You also want you guys to start focusing on movement training. So with the first two things he said, you want to do some heavy weight sometime. I'm not going to lie to you. The more you learn about strength and conditioning, like the deeper you get into the science, the more you realize that velocity is usually what matters, right? So the slow strength will help beginners. So the research shows that beginners, 1 to 2 years, slow strength is amazing. But the second you get past that beginner phase, there's a lot of like things that come with it, right? Just like taxes, right? Like you might make more money, but you're gonna have more problems. It's kind of the same exact thing. Like the stronger you get, it could be very linear and you just keep improving. Like, oh, I just improve strength, my sprint speed also improves, but it also can be extremely, extremely unlinear, and you can improve strength and then you hit a certain point, and then the stronger you get, the worse you get. Some people, I know a guy where legitimately if we add 10 pounds on his back squat, he's going to get faster. And then someone like me, I can squat all the way up to 445 with good form, deep squat, parallel, right? And I just legitimately get slower every single time I try to push for more strength. So everyone's different on that type of stance, but for the most part, if you're not a beginner, then you usually want to do more high power things, and that will also improve strength at the same time. So that's my take on it. I don't think slow strength is bad, but I also don't think it's the most necessary thing in the world. In terms of movement, plyometrics is movement. So I don't disagree with what he's saying. As long as you're doing good plyometric work, some ankle stuff, some lateral stuff, working all planes, frontal plane, sagittal plane, like you're going to improve your movement. You don't need to spend a lot of extra time on that though, right? Like if you're doing a good program, something like the Speed Academy, for example, you don't need to spend 50 minutes a day on movement, knee quality, ankle health, because that's already going to be ingrained in your programming. But if you have to do that every single day, or else you can't move, like you have to stretch for 30 minutes before you actually work out, like you have movement issues that you need to fix. That is not normal. You should be able to just pull up to 5v5. Someone randomly tells you, hey, hop on right now, and you should just be able to play without any injuries. I don't care your age. Maybe past 50, I guess, right? So that's like a little bit of a hot take, but there's also a lot of coaches who agree with me on that. 5 of the best ways to get faster. So far, pretty good, by the way. Like sprinting. On technical days, 50 to 75, I don't even think you need to do this. 90 to 110%, not to be overly critical, 95%. So in the research, under 95%, you don't make the same central nervous system gains. So you need to go 95 to 100%. But literally, you can't even quantify that in your head. You can't even tell the difference between 90 and 100. Like just go all out. That's all that matters. And then 50 to 75% technical days, yeah, that's fine. Neuromuscular quick twitch. I'm not a big fan of all this. I get it. I understand the science behind it. Not a big fan. Heavy lifting, yep. Especially at joint angle specific. So half squats, quarter squats. That's when you can go really, really heavy. Explosive training, of course. So you got hang clings, you got stuff like high pulls, resisted jumps, stuff like that. Hip mobility, hip strength. I don't like this specific exercise, but yes, hip strength is important. The biggest thing that people think, everyone goes straight to the hip flexors. Oh, you need stronger hip flexors. That's cool. Like that's cute. But at the end of the day, like you still need strong glutes for your hip flexor to even drive up, because you have to produce force down and back. And that means you need glute extension for the hip flexor to actually reach. So yes, you need hip flexor strength, but you also need overall lower body strength.
When it comes to hip mobility, what you really need is not hip flexors, it's hip internal rotation. That's where you produce force, is that hip internal rotation. You also need natural hip external rotation to allow rotation in the core and the entire body while sprinting. If you're restricted in one of those two areas, you're going to see a very huge leak in your performance and athleticism. So far, he has some good stuff. This 100% changed my life, and he's sprinting. Okay, 3 life-changing tips to increase your speed. All right, bounding. We love bounds, right? You could do so many different falling starts. I wouldn't do four sets of 50 yards. In general, when it comes to like overall volume, you want to do at most 150 yards of sprinting. Excuse me, I'm sorry. If you're a beginner, you can go up to 200, 250, but I would stay under 150 usually. And in terms of overall distance, if you can't run, if it takes you 6 seconds to run 40 yards or 45 yards or 45 meters, then you shouldn't run that. It has to be under 6 seconds. And for most people, the sweet spot in terms of how much peak force they're producing is 40 yards and under, right? The second you get past 40 yards, mechanics get sloppy, fatigue kicks in. Whether you run a 4.4, a 4.6 or a 5.6, like it's just stick under 40. 40 and under. 40s are those good days you want to go farther, you're feeling good, but just there's really no really good reason to go farther unless you're an extremely elite athlete, which I don't know how fast he is, but it seems, right? 20-yard build-up, 20-yard sprint hold, length of the field. So this is called a flying 10 or flying 20. You build up for 20 yards and you go max out. It's probably one of the biggest stimulus you can get for your max velocity. He's not really doing it like that well in terms of like the execution, but you just want to build up slowly and then go all out for 10 to 20 yards. I would stick with 10 yards at first, and the faster you get, let's say you run 4.6 and under in the 40-yard, then you can start, kicking it up to like 20 yards, 30 yards, stuff like that, right? In the Speed Academy, we never go past 20 yards. I think the final phase, so phase 12 of all the phases, we get to like 30 once. Improve your speed, but it is just form drills at the end of the day. The thing with the form drills, because he's going to go through a whole set of form drills, I bet. This isn't bad. This is a pretty good applied metric. The thing with form drills is that they do help, right? They help beginners. But eventually, I think there's a time and place where a lot of, especially you guys who sprinted for a long time, you keep doing form drills. And you have some technical issues, and those form drills don't help. They help maybe for a couple seconds. Like these, I'm talking about basic A skips, basic B skips. Like they feel cool. They make you feel like you're snappy and you're doing something right. But when you really start to think about it, why don't you try warming up just by jogging and sprinting, right? Go ahead and sprint and time yourself with the FAT or a phone. And then do your form drills and then go time yourself again. A lot of it is placebo, right? A lot of it helps, neuromuscular coordination. But once you have that level of coordination, it's kind of like basketball. Like, are you just going to keep doing standard pounds for your whole life, right? Or are you just going to keep doing this? Boom, 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 boom. Eventually, you could do probably 200 in a row in a couple minutes and not mess up once. Are you just going to keep doing it? Like, no, you have to do things that are harder to challenge yourself, and that requires velocity, right? You have to bring in speed and different motions and angles to do stuff like that. And just basic A skips from the age of 10 to the age of 20 is not going to improve your freaking form. Like, you need different stimulus, and the way you learn how to improve your sprint speed is by sprinting at max velocity, max effort. That's where things are going to change because you have to improve, right? Your body's going to auto-regulate to improve. So I don't think like these drills are useless, but I just think there's a lot of wasted time and energy, wasted fatigue from doing 10 minutes of sprint drills when you should just be sprinting max effort and get that stimulus to actually improve. All right, so striking heel to toe. So this is a mistake, but it's a natural mistake. So what happens with striking heel to toe is that people are overstriding clearly, right? And the reason why they're overstriding is because they're using a muscle dominant strategy. So the first way to fix that is kind of contradicts what I was just talking about, but usually at this beginner level, you want to do stuff like A switches, A skips could help. And then learning stuff like resistance sprints will teach you, and even bounding will teach you how to land under your center of mass and strike under your body and back. Usually what these people are doing is they're trying to swing their arms too far forward, and they're trying to drive their knees too far up. And when you drive your knees too far up or forward, or it could just be a lack of strength, there's thousands of reasons. Like, this dude's a little kid, so he's probably just too weak. But when you usually, like, the people who are a little bit stronger and they're reaching too far forward, that makes them overstride. But if you're just flat out too weak, then you need to get stuff like hip flexor strength and glute strength to actually be able to drive your knee up high enough or land on your body with enough force so you get enough vertical displacement so you can actually, like have displacement from the ground. So like these two guys, these saying strike, the person saying like heel to toe, right? Oh, you just have bad form, but this is just a strength issue, right? So that's what I'm trying to get at is like all this is natural, right? You can't just tell someone, oh, just land under your center of mass. If they're not strong enough, they're not going to change their form. It's just going to be the same thing. If anything, they're just going to run slower. So these people just lack hip flexor and glute strength, right? How to improve pogos? Yeah, I mean, you could like this is not going to improve it. Like it's going to improve ankle strength, which will help a little bit with the way you place your ground, like the way you land on your foot. But that doesn't teach your body how to actually land under your center of mass. Stuff that's actually going to improve it would be like resisted sprints, broad jumps, bounding, where you have to project your body and then land under. But improving ankle strength is not going to change where you place your ankle when you sprint, right? It's a whole different mechanics that you're struggling with. Too much backside. I don't think backside's bad at all. I don't think there's anything wrong with backside, like at all. I never really understood that. Like it can get a little excessive, right? So I will say like wicked sprints, switches, high knees. I wouldn't say high knees in place, but wicked sprints and switches will naturally clean up a little bit of the backside, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I think early in acceleration, like first 10 yards, you want low backside. And wickets can even help with that in a sense. But in sprinting, it's okay. It's not the end of the world if you have a little bit of backside, but it's also not a bad thing to improve your wicket sprints. Because when you're doing wicket sprints, you're going to put your body and your pelvis in a really good position, which will, number one, yes, clean up the backside, like the excessive backside. But then what it's also doing is putting your body in a position to land under center of mass. And when you land under center of mass, you can produce the most force because you're the most stable and you're actually like producing force at the right angles to propel your body. So like, I guess backside could be bad. I mean, I'm kind of contradicting myself, but like, it's not the end of the world, but it can be improving it can be a byproduct of improving other things, right? With wicked sprints and switches. So stuff like that. I don't like telling people not to do something though, right? Like if they have backside mechanics and you're a coach or you're an athlete, don't think stop doing backside. Like, no, you just need to improve other aspects and other weaknesses when it comes to mistakes. I rambled so much during that. Okay, speed and power training is one of the best coaches in the world. So yeah, we got hurdle hops, repeat hurdle hops with a hop in between, so it makes it a little bit easier on the ankles and Achilles. Then we had max effort sprints before that were timed. Remember that. So they were timed. Then we got concentric only front squats is really good, especially with the chain. It gives accommodating resistance, so it's harder at the top. Usually without like the chains or bands, it's a little bit easier at the top. And it's hardest at the bottom, but this makes it harder on the concentric way up. Improve concentric force. Dynamic stabilization is really cool. So pretty much he's absorbing force and then stabilizing and teaching his body how to hold that position. Really, really good, right? Front squat, isometric, and then like iso hold for like 3 seconds and then pushing off. Okay, he's going really fast. ISO hold for like 3 seconds and pushing off with really good form is going to really train this back to be strong and stable so you can stay up with dynamic trunk stabilization. And then also just a lot of force from the quads was really good for force production, right? And then overloading eccentric squats. Yeah, so he's overloading the eccentric, then dropping it. This is really advanced. You probably never need to do this unless you have a trainer. I wouldn't do this on your own. You would need so much equipment and extra help for it. There is some benefits for it though. Trap bar jumps, amazing, right? Great for producing force in a vertical plane in a half squat position, so it's very, transferable to 2 foot jumps. This will be the last one. Apply metrics to improve your speed. Actually, I talked to this guy on Instagram. Single leg bounds. So I like some of this stuff. I've been seeing some, I think his name's like Matt on Instagram. He's been doing some hopping variations where you're actually like teaching your body how to stay in line while hopping vertically or forward. And what that matters to you is just it transfers a lot to sprinting. That's like the best way I can explain it. Hurdle hops are really good as well. Getting as high as possible, teaching the floor like it's lava, bouncing off. You can even, if you're a beginner, do like pauses, right? So you could jump and then pause, jump and then pause, teach you how to stabilize and then produce force concentrically without the stress shortening cycle. And then def jumps or drop jumps are really important for overloading the Achilles and just eccentric overload in general, which is really, really good for force production and your stress shortening cycle, right? And this guy's pretty fast. He knows what he's talking about. Good stuff overall. That was definitely a ramble, but all these drills and exercises you learned are pretty much useless if you don't know how to actually warm up for your workout. So go check out this video right here for the warm-ups, and then even check out the Speed Academy or wherever I put it. I don't even know. See y'all later.